This will create an economic, global financial convulsion like the world has never seen, and there will be a wealth transfer, and everybody will participate. You do not have a choice. Your only choice is, are you going to have the wealth transferred toward you or away from you? It's all up to you. Well, the banksters are at it again. How will you protect yourself from the greatest theft in history? 5 major banks exposed for moving trillions for mobsters, OneCoin, and drug cartels. This is actually more than $2 trillion. This is a fascinating article, but in it, there are links to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. And here, they're providing a place where you can download all of the FinCEN file transaction data to extract as much information as possible from the file. Dozens of reporters collaborated to manually collate data in thousands of transactions. And what they've uncovered is amazing. From a jumble of secret reports damning data on big banks and dirty money, a massive global research effort for FinCEN files turned secret records into usable information exposing the futility of U.S.-led anti-money laundering efforts. Now, if you recall, there was a video I did recently that showed the new Illicit Cash Act that they're passing and the Banking for All Act. This is to increase, to give us more of this stuff that isn't working. That reporters, independent journalists have to figure this stuff out because the government can't. They just impose all of these rules that don't work. But this is a fascinating website. You go into this article and there's more links that you can click and you can drill down in this stuff. So here you can sort for all of the clients, the ones that are, it's for corruption, embezzlement, sanctions evasion, or fraud. And then you can drill down even further, like this guy embezzled billions of dollars while he was chairman and controlling shareholder of BTA Bank in Kazakhstan. And you can follow the money. And here it just says, click on the yellow dot to see the area that where the text where to follow the journey. So here you click on either one of these. I'm going to click on the dot, and it shows you where the funds are being transferred to be able to launder this money. You want to run it through different banks in different countries. If you don't, you're an amateur. Here's the staggering amount banks have been fined since the financial crisis of 2008. Now, this is the global financial crisis. This has nothing to do with assisting all of the criminals, which the banks are guilty of. This is the banks being fined for the crimes that they themselves are guilty of. And down in the middle of the article, there's this table here that shows the amount that all of the different banks have been fined for their criminal activity during the global real estate boom that caused the financial crisis. And what surprises me is, for once, Wells Fargo is not on the top of the list. You would think that Wells Fargo or JP Morgan would be at the top, or Deutsche Bank, because they usually are. Bullion banks, criminal corruption. And here, this is an article by Craig Hemke of Sprott Money, and he talks about JP Morgan admitting spoofing. And he talks about Deutsche Bank and Scotiabank. They're guilty of doing certain things. But at the end of it, what he shows is that the whole system is corrupt, that the regulators are corrupt, that it's not, this isn't going to fix it. Now, Ted Butler has an article about the Department of Justice, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, and JP Morgan settlement, in which he says that, once these banks are under scrutiny, and they are, because they've just been caught with their fingers in the cookie jar, it's a total fine for JP Morgan of close to $1 billion, $920 million fine. Now, the problem here is they probably made a couple $1 billion doing this. And so as long as the fine does not exceed the profits that they make, which is always the case, then it's usually good to just keep on committing a crime, pay the fine, commit it again. However, this time they're under closer scrutiny. The investigations could go deeper, and if they do go deeper into long-term manipulation instead of this short-term spoofing of high-frequency trading. This is stealing from all of the traders in the market. But if they're doing long-term manipulation, then it's also affecting all of the investors in the market, and they've been doing both. So now they're under scrutiny. Ted Butler has noticed a difference in the way that they trade, and in this article, he's saying that pretty soon, gold and silver are going to be freed from the shackles and chains of the price manipulation. They're going to be freed up for the price to just run. And that goes along with even more stuff. So here, the LBMA, and this is from Ronan Manley of Bullion Star, LBMA and COMEX, so the London Bullion Market Association and the Commodities Exchange, collusion intensifies as the Chicago Mercantile Exchange approves 267 LBMA gold and silver bar brands. So the Commodities Exchange, now before July 27th of this year, there were 68 hallmarks, brands of gold bars that were approved. Now that means the refinery. So each bar has a hallmark stamp on it of the refinery that always lives up to the purity and weight standards that the Commodities Exchange requires. And so there were 68. There are now 230 gold bars. They've gone from 68 to 230 different hallmarks that are acceptable for going into the vault for storage and then delivery into these futures contracts. When a futures contract matures, somebody can take delivery, and it is now legal to deliver any one of these 230 bars. With silver, it has gone from 75 bars to 180 bars. Why would this happen? There's only one reason: tightness in the precious metals markets. The LBMA and the COMEX are both pyramid Ponzi scheme fractional reserve standards. There was a time where the number of ounces available for delivery on the Commodities Exchange was 1/300th of the amount of contracts, or even more. So that means for every ounce of silver, there are more than 300 different owners that could lay claim to that ounce. It's a musical chair Ponzi scheme, pyramid scam. Anyway, big investors have been coming into the market, and a lot more of them have been standing for delivery. Normally, it's a tiny little percentage, just a few percent, that actually take for delivery, that stand for delivery when the contract matures. This time, in this go-around, just in the past few months, ever since March, the amount of contracts that go into physical delivery has been increasing, and it's been big. And so they're having a problem sourcing real physical gold and silver to deliver into these contracts. And so they had to expand the acceptable bar brands. So moving on. So that's the tightness. And that tightness causes this: paper gold no longer as important. Bank of America finds physical demand now key to gold prices. And that's because in order to deliver into one of these contracts, you have to have physical gold and silver. And so that means that they can no longer create these paper contracts that control the price of gold and silver in unlimited quantities like they used to be able to. If they make them in, the physical demand is now limiting the quantity of this fractional reserve Ponzi scheme. and it's going to get worse. So we are set up for an explosion in gold and silver prices. Buy the dip in gold, but not stocks, say Citigroup's global strategists. Now, to that, I would say, but not stocks, bonds, or real estate. Now, farmland is not in a bubble, but in most places, residential real estate is in a bubble. Not in all places, but in most. So moving along, Ronan Manley of Bullion Star says, planned in advance by central banks, a 2020 system reset. Well, I believe it's going to be somewhere between 2021 and 2023. I don't think it's coming in 2020. We don't have that much of the year left. And if you watched the video on digital government currencies, crypto central bank currencies, the cryptic Fed coin, and the digital wallets that we're going to be getting, those need to be in place before this system, the meltdown and the system reset. But this is a very good article with a lot of information in it. And as you go through the article, from Frankfurt to Vienna, so this is Germany's Bundesbank, announced in 2013 that they were going to move nearly 700 tons of gold from the New York Fed and and France's central bank. And here are the dates. By 2020, and then it says, to this end, the Bundesbank has planned a phased relocation of 300 tons of gold from the New York Fed to Frankfurt, as well as an additional 374 tons from Paris to Frankfurt by 2020. So it's this repetition of 2020, but they actually want to be ahead of the crisis. They don't want to time it exactly with the crisis. I do believe it's coming after 2020. Then the Austria's central bank announced in 2015 that they would be repatriating their gold by 2020. The 2020 gold storage policy by the year 2020, it says. So 2020 is a very prominent thing. The Dutch jumped the gun in secret. And so this is the Netherlands central bank, the Dutch central bank. And they, in October and November of 2014, secretively repatriated 122.5 tons of gold from the New York Fed to Amsterdam. And what's important here is then on April of 2019, they put this on their website. Gold is the anchor of trust for the financial system. If the system collapses, the gold stock can serve as a basis to build it up again. Gold bolsters confidence in the stability of the central bank's balance sheet and creates a sense of security. Moving on, further down the article, Poland and Hungary follow suit. And here, Poland bought 100 tons of gold. It says at the Bank of England, so it's these are central bank purchases. So they bought 100 tons of gold and promptly flew all of it back to Warsaw. And here they say that while gold has a confidence-building effect in normal times, it can play a role in stabilizing and defending. It is also a benefit in extreme market environments, deeper geopolitical crises, and structural changes in the international financial system. Structural changes in the international financial system. That's what comes when they redesign a system after it begins to fall apart or completely collapses. Sorry, I'm laughing. So the reset trigger is right there. This is what they're using as the reset trigger. Former central banker. The world is heading towards a new monetary system that incorporates gold. And this is from the former head of banking operations at the Central Bank of Finland. Now, I've had seminars and presentations since 2009. I started giving my presentations on the death of the global dollar standard. So it's been a decade-long journey. I discovered that every 30 to 40 years, the world had a new monetary system back in 2005. So I've been watching this thing coming like a freight train, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's close. And you don't want it to run over you, because in this, as I'll show you, wealth will be transferred either toward you or away from you, and it's up to you. So this is at fiscal.treasury.gov, and this is the official website of the United States government. It's their gold report, the status on U.S. government gold reserve. And if you scroll down, there's this somewhat misleading presentation, this table, the summary of the gold. And this is the number of ounces, and this is the book value. And they've got the totals up here of bullion and coins, blanks, and miscellaneous, and the total amount of gold that the U.S. government claims to hold. Then they've got gold, mint-held gold in deep storage. They've got mint-held treasury gold working stock. This working stock is the stuff that they make gold eagles, gold buffaloes, and all of the other coins that the U.S. Mint creates that I sell. And so this is important because there's something that I can't quite figure out going on here. Then they've got Federal Reserve Bank held gold. And this is very misleading, the way that they present this. So it's got the total Federal Reserve Bank held gold at 13 million ounces, 13.5 million ounces, or $568 million dollars worth at the statutory rate. And so the total government gold reserves is this many ounces, 261.5 million ounces. And the total value is 11,041,060,000. I'm going to round there. At the statutory rate of $42.2222 per fine troy ounce of gold. And then at the very bottom, there's a footnote. The gold reserves held by the Department of the Treasury is partially, remember that, partially, offset by a liability for gold certificates issued to the Federal Reserve banks, which may be redeemed which the Treasury may redeem at any time. So moving on to the Federal Reserve's website, we've got factors affecting their reserve balances, and the first section here is their assets, things that they hold as assets on their sheets. So these are all of their securities, mortgage-backed securities, and all of the bonds and stuff. And then there's their other loans and such. And then you get down here, and it says gold stock, 11,041 million. And then it's rounded, so you don't get to see what's here. But if you remember, the U.S. government claims to have a total of $11,041,060,000 worth. And of that $11,041,060,000 worth, the Federal Reserve has $11,041 million of it. So there isn't much left over for us. In fact, if you deduct the working stock that's at the mint, there's only $10,923 million of gold available that's government gold that is not working stock that they actually make coins out of and stuff. And then if you go down here, the currency in circulation is 2,029 billion, I should say just 30 billion. I should round that. So what is it, if we have a collapse, what is it that they have to back to give the currencies confidence? Well, what they really have to back, they don't have to back the bank reserves that much. The banks, this currency never leaves the Federal Reserve. It's Federal Reserve currency dollars that they create that are digital dollars that float around back and forth and slosh between the different commercial banks' accounts that are at the Federal Reserve. They never leave the Federal Reserve. These dollars go out into circulation, and they are all over the world. There's 2 trillion of them. To give confidence in the U.S. dollar, you would have to back these. Now, many people think it would be a fractional reserve type of thing where they back them 40% by gold or something like that. Maybe so. But right now, if you take the amount of gold that the Federal Reserve has gold notes on, and you divide that into the amount of currency in circulation, you get almost $8,000 an ounce today, and they are not going to stop printing this. So maybe that video where I show you the echoes of the past, if it continues to history repeat, for the echo to have a lot of fidelity, then in 2023 with that $11,250 gold, perhaps this has kept on soaring, and it will. And so maybe that thing is, I don't know, nobody knows this stuff. All I know is the direction we're heading. The direction we're heading is very bad for anybody that doesn't hold precious metals, I believe. And that's the reason I hold them. Now, Christine Lagarde plans for a digital euro as alternative to cash. The European Central Bank boss says that it could be quick, safe, and modern if notes and coins were to fall out of use. So, we're just going to accidentally stop using them. No, what's going to happen is they'll get these digital wallets in place. They're going to do all of this stimulus into these digital wallets. And then there's going to be certain things that you can only do with the digital wallets, like pay your taxes will be deducted out of your digital wallets. And then there will come a time when they will ban cash. It will be illegal. A digital version of the euro could be on the way as the European Central Bank sets out its plans for a potential new form of currency. And believe me, it is coming. Back in 2011, we posted this video on the website, and I showed my presentation on the death of the global dollar standard. And every 30 to 40 years, we had a new monetary system then. So 30 to 40 years for the classical gold standard. Germany started it. It took about 10 years or more for most of the other countries to get on board, so it didn't really become a global standard right away. 30 years for the gold exchange standard that was the intra-war standard that was 40% backed by gold roughly. 28 years for the Bretton Woods system, which had fallen in the U.S. down to just 8% gold backing. And then 39 years plus, but this was given a decade ago. It's now 49 years plus. The August 15th of this year was the 49th birthday of the global dollar standard. Will it make it to 50? Will it make it to August 15th, 2021? I have no idea. I would love more time to get prepared because this is going to be a calamitous event no matter what we do. So here you had baby steps from gold. So the common man did not feel these transitions. They weren't even aware of it. It was the central banks, any international banks, and any international corporations, of which there were few at the beginning of the last century, and there were a significant amount in 1971. But this is from full gold backing to 40% gold backing down to an unspecified gold backing that fell very low to no gold backing. And now we're about to go from nothing to something, and this will create an economic, global financial convulsion like the world has never seen, and there will be a wealth transfer, and everybody will participate. You do not have a choice. Your only choice is, are you going to have the wealth transferred toward you or away from you? It's all up to you. And lastly, I do want to say, go and watch this video here. This is the top 10 reasons I buy gold and silver. It's reason number 2. Now, this is a countdown from 10 down to the most important reason, number 1. Reason number 8 was there's a new world monetary system coming soon, or something like that. There's a new world monetary system on its way. And so I've been pretty confident that all of this was going to happen. I've been confident for the last decade. I've never changed my tune. It's going to happen, and it's really getting close. Now, if you watch just this one, all you have to do is watch 2 minutes and 20 seconds of it. This adds it all up. It's all happening at once, and this time it's global. This time we have bubbles everywhere on the planet in stocks, bonds, and real estate. This time we have countries printing their currencies into oblivion. This time we have the Batman Wu flu. This time we've got we've got global lockdowns that are slowing the global economic growth. This time everything is converging all at once. This didn't happen in the 1970s bull market. We didn't in the 1970s bull market. Gold peaked in 1980, and that was after 1971 released gold when we transitioned from Bretton Woods to the global dollar standard. Released it from the shackles and chains of being part of the monetary system. And so its price floated. Basically, they were releasing the dollar, so the dollar sank. And all currencies are sinking compared to gold and silver. This will continue. The wealth transfer will be huge. You don't have a choice. You're going to be part of it. I'm protecting myself. What you do is up to you. I hope this video gave you some information to where you're going to protect yourself. And I wish everybody the best of luck. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.